Greetings, everyone. to.Why here. I'm calling from the big island of Hawaii. All right, there's so many things going on right now, and I don't know where your attention is, if it's focused on the right things or not. But the reason why I'm saying that is because everything around you wants to make sure you don't focus on the right things. This is brought to my attention over the past day about a couple people putting videos out and talking about it. Famous people, Deepak Chopra, Stephen Greer, Eckhart Tolle, all those kind of people. All right, and it's pertaining to what we are, this body, all right, what's inside it, and what goes on inside our brain, our thinking, our thoughts, and what we truly are. I'm going to get into that, all right, because basically, here's the thing. I just watched a video from Stephen Greer. If you know anything about who he is, he's one of the supposedly top people in the whole disclosure project. Brought it out many years ago. Over 30 years, nothing has happened with it. I mean, sure, there's a couple people coming out and talking about it, but no proof of anything, anything really important came out of that yet. But in the interim, he's been claiming that he can teach people how to talk to aliens. Talk to aliens, okay? Which is fine if people want to talk to aliens. He claims that all aliens are good. Okay. He claims the government is trying to force fear among the United States and the world. Our government is forcing fear about aliens on us. Really? Do you see one thing that's making them prove it or show it in any way? They're denying they're working with aliens. They're denying aliens are here. So how could they be forcing us to have fear over them? They want to have fear of us? We want to have fear? Show us what they're doing. That would make the whole United States be in fear. And they're not going to do that. And I'm not going to get into that until maybe the end of the show if I have time. All right. Now, on top of that, he's claiming right now we have these superpowers and we got to become aware of it and learn to deal with that. Really. All right. Now, what he says when you go in your dreams and you sleep and you wake up and you could see what was going to happen in the day and things. I'll explain that real simple, people. As a being, which we are, a person with a soul inside it. A soul inside of it, which is what we truly are. All right. The mind is a computer program. It works just as a computer does. It bases what it does and thinks and says on what it's fed as far as information that's put in the wrinkles inside the brain. All right. Now, what he was saying, we can see the future, see the past. We just have to become aware of how to do it. No, it's not that complicated, and it's not anything pertaining to consciousness, which everybody likes the new word, consciousness. We're all part of this consciousness. We can tap into it, see the future, past, present, know everything. No, you can't. I challenge him to name and explain when the first man came to planet Earth, if he can go back in time or do anything. All right. Now, the second thing, a part of that is what he claims is real simple. Soul. We are all soul. Soul dwells in this body called the human body. It's limited to by the body. In a lot of ways, well, Stephen Greer is trying to say that we can just travel outside of that. The word with that is called remote viewing, and the second word is astral projection. Now, if you want the truth, they are evil words. Remote viewing means going into some other person or place's space, whether you're invited in or not. All right. Now, just imagine if a criminal wanted to remote view your house, looks inside, see where you are, see what's in the house, goes, oh, that's a good house to rob, and goes in the house and robs it, knows where the alarm is, knows where everything is. That's called remote viewing. The Army's been using that to fight other countries. They kind of stopped using it greatly because the remote viewers were remote viewing the people that were working with them, meaning they realized what they were doing, what they were remotely viewing. And usually it's not a good thing. Or I should say, it never is. You can't invade somebody else's space. Now, Stephen Greer, I know you're not spiritual. I know you know nothing about God. And if you want the truth, when you go into somebody else's space, the number one spiritual law that exists in this plane and the astral plane is called the law of non-interference. Go beyond that. You break all those spiritual laws that's pertaining to who and what you are, meaning you create super mounds of karma. Mr. Greer, you're going to be coming back many times. You're trying to program the world to do horrible, ridiculous things that are not safe and not good. Oh, you could protect people. Yeah, but do you play God? Everybody has karma. Karma means you pay what you get what you deserve somehow, some way, whether you realize it or not, good or bad. And if somebody thinks they can take other people's karma away, which Jesus did not, which people believe he did, you have to pay that karma back. And just because you get by in this world doesn't mean you're going to make it to the next world and stay there or have anything good happen after. When you reincarnate, it's not going to get better. Now, somebody like even Bob Dylan, he came out and did a short video, said he sold his soul to the devil. Everything he wrote after that became gold. If he gave the song to somebody, it would still become a gold song. All right, but to voluntarily tell the world that you sold your soul to the devil, he said many other people did it as well. Guess what that means? Do you understand what that means at any level? All right, let's go beyond that. Okay, these powers, being able to remote view or go into the future and past. All right, it's called time travel. In he calls it in a consciousness way, going into consciousness. Consciousness is a man-made created idea of energy. All right, soul has its awareness. I mean, it has its abilities in the physical world when it's inside the body, but when it's outside, it has many great abilities and things that it can use. So when you do leave your body, when you sleep and soul steps out of it, it's given freedom. And see, soul doesn't live in it the same time frame that the body lives in, which means 24 hours, day and night cycle. It can walk into the future and past. It sees it as an open thing. And I'm going to be doing a workshop, a real workshop, beyond anything ever done, showing the techniques and a simple technique you need to learn that will basically solve that problem. Like when you decide if you're going to do something or not, how it could save a life or not. But it's a simple little thing. And it's just a matter of answering yourself when you talk to yourself. But Mr. Greer thinks it's going to be a good thing. The same as, where's he getting all his so-called knowledge now? He's been around a long time. When I started in the UFO world, which was probably 96, he was just coming out of the woodwork. Suddenly he was a doctor. Now he's a UFO person. Did he get money? Did he change over? For what reason and all that? That's a different story. But I don't believe anything he says. Mr. Greer, I'm sorry. You're delusional because you're telling the world horrible things that are not beneficial to the human race, soul, or spiritual growth. Being able to use psychic abilities is going to destroy the planet. Healers that think they can heal other people are also delusional. Well, the person, when you tell somebody something, if they accept it, means they're allowing you to control their own energy. And by doing that, they can heal themselves. Of course they can. But very few people can. But if there's karma involved with that, whatever it is will come back. Period. Day, a year, or when you die. Reincarnation is the sign of all your karma, what you have to pay back. Most people think they can come back and do whatever they want next time, whenever they want, wherever they want to go. It's all a bunch of lies, people. Now, what I'm going to say, this workshop that I'm going to do is going to expose every aspect of truth that exists in this reality and what it means and what you need to look out, learn, and understand before you die. Because when you die, you're going to start all over, no matter what you think, say, and tell yourself. When you get into the astral plane, which I did, I spent a lot of time there learning about it, understanding it, watching people come and go, coming back and go back to planet Earth. You only get to stay there for a period of time. I'm going to go into all those things that Mr. Greer cannot get into. You can't get into the astral plane and stay there, for one. All right. Second of all, you're only using your astral body. Your astral body can't go past the astral plane. I'm going to bring one of the top mystic on my show, and he talks about what he considers himself the top mystic on the planet, but he's still attached to the silver cord. The silver cord is what connects the soul body to this physical body, so it doesn't get lost when it leaves. So it's forced to come back to the body. All right. I'm not going to go into that in detail now because it's not about that right now. I'm going to the aspect that people, like I just said, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, are talking about things. Love. Love is not the answer for anything, people, whether you believe it to be or want it to be, it is not. Peace is not the answer. All the words that we want and desire, why aren't they active? Why aren't they taking over the world? If they're important to us, they're not. We say it is. Sex is number one to all men. The idea of love is synthetic. All right. It's only been around 2,000 years. It was created after Jesus was here. That being, Jesus taught love. He didn't teach love. Oh, he took our karma. He didn't take your karma. I mean, all the things they pushed on the idea of Jesus was ridiculous. As same as he never said he was God. Yes, Carl, I'm going to be doing the workshop in September. I'll get back to you on that. Here's the thing. The problem with what's happening right now, power is the root to all evil. What brings you into power is money. All you see on every ad, every email, I get 20, 30 a day from these top so-called stock market people and things like that. Oh, we got to get money. We're going to be millionaires if you want. Watch what they're going to do to our money. They're going to play. China's trying to destroy us, and we're not doing a thing about that. It's not Biden's fault, but in a way, he could be helping us stop it. And we need to realize what China's planning, which they don't want to do. Now, Foucault said that we're going to have about 3 more viruses, and it's going to get 10 times worse in the next year. Well, it is. But here's the thing, people. You can go online. I don't have the link. I'm not going to put it up because I don't want to be attacked by the government or anybody. There's a link, and my friend showed it to me. It lists all the vaccines that are going to be added to all the viruses that are coming out within the next 2 years. It's already documented. And I'm not making that up. I wouldn't want to make that up. But guess what? It's all planned out. Now, what goes on, this is outside of what I'm trying to get into, but agenda. Okay, what is the agenda of the world, agenda of people, agenda of the rich? It's called UN Agenda 21-30. Find it out, read it. It's what is happening. Why they're going to kill off a lot of people, why they're going to relocate people, why they're going to do all these things that are happening, why they're destroying the planet, why they're going to destroy everything, our ozone and everything else, you name it. There's reasons. Why don't anybody talk about the underground cities? Why don't people talk about what the HARP system's really doing? Why don't they talk about the real things instead of all these fake things or unimportant things like cow farts and things like that? When we sent Mr. Gates, Musk is going to send 26,000 satellites around the planet within the next year. You don't think that's destroying the ozone layer? Anything that has to do with money is just pushed through. If it's pertaining to human life and children, it's kind of erased and shoved under the rug. Mr. Greer coming out with this ability, it's nothing new. And it's not only a few people who do it. Everybody does it. Whether they realize it or not, it's a different story. Whether they want to realize it or not. I did dream research 30, 40 years ago. And basically, I wrote notes every night, watch my dreams, watch what happened. And it starts this way. This is what I first learned out when I did my dream search and understanding and workshop. All right, when you dream and if you remember, and you got to tell yourself you're going to remember your dreams before you go to bed. But when you wake up, the first thing that I ever see when I walk outside my house is the last thing I saw in my dream. I could be dreaming, and a bulldozer comes down in my dream. When I walk outside the house, there's a bulldozer coming down the block. Soul has the ability to see before and after our time frame because it's not in the same time frame. So if you learn how to listen to soul, you won't get in trouble. You won't be in problems, and you will be able to help and do a lot of good things. But it's not called consciousness. Soul is not part of a consciousness. It has its own awareness. That's what makes us a soul. If we were a consciousness, we would never need a body. Because what we do and what we create here is useless to consciousness. Stephen Greer's got that backwards, thinking aliens, good aliens, are going to help us, and we're going to do what? Make the world better? We are in hell, people. You don't have to accept that. Just look at the world. Look at the numbers of rape, abuse, murder, stealing, drugs. Look at the numbers. They're skyrocketing. Look at the amount of children being sold into slavery, sold into sex parts and body parts and all those kind of things. It's disgusting. And people kind of look the other way. Oh, so what? Really? And you say you're spiritual. Spiritual doesn't exist on planet Earth, people. Many people say, well, I'm spiritual. Give a definition of spiritual. And one of the most stupidest things I hear is, I send unconditional love to the world. That's like sending paper darts to a person playing with a dartboard. It's totally useless. Sending love to people that are dying and starving is not going to feed them. Personally, they don't care because they're not getting any of what you think you're sending them. It doesn't help them in any way. Oh, it changes the vibration of what? Consciousness? Consciousness allows this negativity in it. Now, for Mr. Greer, imagine if everybody became superpowered. Where do you think we would go? Eliminate the police, which people want to do. Give them superpowers. What do you think will happen? It'll be worse than any fantastic movie you see with all these superheroes and stuff fighting everybody. Because if you could go in and just rip a bank door open or whatever, be bulletproof, or imagine anything you want, go into a person's house and see if they got gold in there and know where it is, and then just go in and take it. All these horrible things that people that are evil will do. I mean, we all have a bit of evilness in us. Whether we control it or not is a different story. I talk to many psychiatrists. I'm doing a book. It's going to be released soon. But they will say and tell you this. Every man in some time in their life will actually have to think about having sex with their daughter. All right? I'm not making that up. Never mind, they do. And the serious problems that come out of that. And we are stepping down in spiritual growth as far as, like I said, name one person on this planet that's really spiritual. Oh, this Lama, this Buddha, this medicine man, this preacher, this rabbi. Really? And they have no clue, zero clue to what God is. Stephen Greer can't talk about that. I'll challenge him right now. Mr. Greer, this is on your site. Challenge you. Do an open debate online, anytime, or do it offline. I don't mind. I'll put you where you need to belong if you want the truth and live in your fantasy world and delusional ideas of what we want to feed people. People have been destroying ourselves greatly over the past 25, 50 years, more so. I mean, World War I, World War II, that was prophesied by the native people. It was prophesied by George Washington. All right? I mean, prophecy is not an important thing because, you know what? It doesn't change people. People are what they are. Their understanding of love is limited to their level of consciousness, which consciousness for them it's called consciousness, but they're able to understand something. That's the mind. When I say consciousness, I talk about the brain and the thoughts that are run and programmed inside the brain. That's a consciousness, not something in space, in the universe, says we all think together. No, we don't. If you want to link yourself to all the criminals and robbers and everything else that's going on the planet, go right ahead. Now, I just want to throw this in real fast. When you get past the astral plane, you don't ever deal with those things again. And it only gets better. Except one thing, people, which might stop a lot of men. Sex deteriorates after you leave the astral plane. There's no reason for it because you're no longer male or female. So guess what? You might not want to be there. And, oh, I love this. I love that. Why would I want to let go of that? Why? Because you're so attached to it. And you think it's important. But as long as you deal with Satan, demons, entities, aliens, you're never going to leave the lower realm. Aliens cannot go past the astral plane. Cannot, people. Whether you believe that or not, want to believe that, when you get up there, you'll find out for yourself. You'll see what aliens really are. They're below us, people. They're not above us. Technology is not spiritual at any level. It doesn't help people move forward. Oh, forward speedily in a car, a plane, a ship, submarine, and weapons that are the toys that man plays with are dangerous to the world. HARP system, geothermal plants, fracking, the games that men use now, never mind the sex toys and the sports toys that they have to play with for cheap thrills. Mankind is falling out of every space that they can or should be in, meaning a spiritual space. And I mean, Mr. What's his face said that somebody like llamas that go up into the mountains for 40 years, well, that's their choice. We have the choice to do what we want. Nobody has the right to interfere with what mankind does as an individual. And everybody thinks they do and tries to. Tesla, one of the most, I used to call it smart, but it's not smart. He's the most evil person that came out of the woodwork. Oh, but he invented 200 inventions, 50 of the most deadliest weapons on the planet. And they're being used. Not only that, okay, Tesla did something that should have never been done. He was convinced by an alien race to do it, create time travel. Einstein said we couldn't go backwards and forwards in time, which he was wrong about. He worked with aliens, but he worked with a different race. They gave Einstein a lot of false information. We believe it because we're limited in the way we can prove anything we want to prove. I mean, basing history on carbon is pretty lame. Well, it's the only way they can. But, you know, if you're a high-tech race, you can do anything you want. You can implant things that shouldn't be in time, called out-of-place artifacts, and make us think that's history. A person like Billy Myers in the UFO world came out in the 50s. He gave the world 100 prophecies. 89 of them, or even more, came true right now. He was giving that to them from the race he deals with, the Pleiadians. All right, now they're us from the future, people. They're not different kind of beings or anything. They're just us from the future. There's only one reason why they're here now, and that's to save us from destroying the present. If you know anything about time travel, we could go back to the beginning of time, plant the bomb there, and destroy the world, and none of this would have ever happened. That's what time travel means. Or you can go into the future and get some nice weapons and bring them back to the present, which they're trying to do. So, you know, time travel is evil and not beneficial to moving on a spiritual level, because it's taking you out of that place and making you become God. Nobody has that right. And that's why we are put on planet Earth, called hell. But again, we all have free will. We can move forward or not. We can stay in this dimension and stay here, reincarnate over and over. And many people will, because they're attached to this awareness, this place, and where they are and what they're doing, which is limited to being under the control of Satan. Nothing good's being done on this planet. Why is that? Medicine doesn't heal people. Out of 1,000 drugs, what, one cures the sickness for real? I mean, most of them just promote the sickness from getting super bigger, but it doesn't eliminate it. Why? Native people were so different, and their teachings were always, if whatever you get, whatever kind of sickness you get, the cure is somewhere near you, meaning in the forest. When they started destroying the rainforest, they destroyed it for a reason, and they keep destroying it. I mean, 22 years ago, they already destroyed 50% of the rainforest. I don't even know what the number is right now. I got so many things that I'm working with and dealing with. But imagine that. And they said the rainforest has a cure for everything that exists on this planet, which it did. And government doesn't allow natural things to be considered. A natural plant and thing can't be considered medicine. Why? Because they can't make money off of it. If you could go out and grow marijuana, poppies, or even a health food drug like mushrooms and things like that, you can't classify it as a medicine, even though it's more beneficial, more powerful, more useful than any medicine they give you. Why is it they're allowed to say when they sell you a medicine, it could have 1,000 things that it'll cause in your body, including killing you, and it's still being sold? So, Mr. Greer, when you talk about learning, who are you learning from? Aliens? Aliens are teaching you what? What do you know now that's going to help the world? Aliens are good. Well, tell that to my friend. I do a show with every Tuesday that's being abducted half of her life. She's kind of radioactive, and all the symptoms of radioactive poisoning, that it's okay. I mean, the girl that was on American Idol did a song, America's Got Talent, sorry. Uh, it's okay. She's dying of cancer. She's got 2% to live, but she's trying and she wants to keep going. But she pulled out because she had to do more cancer problems. But you know, people that are good, you can tell. Just look at them. Look at what they do. Look at what they are, how they are. Am I a good person? I don't drink, don't smoke, don't beat people up, don't curse people out, don't curse, do all the things that make a person a lot more negative. Am I an angry person? No, I'm not angry. I'm glad because I know where I'm going when I die. And it's not going to be coming back here. Sadly, 99% of people that leave here will have to come back here. The few that get to stay on the astral plane will think they're in bliss because you can do a lot of things there that you don't need to do that you have to do here, like go to the bathroom. You can fly if you want. You can do a lot of things there that are different than here. But it's not better because you're still in the realm of thought of the programmed ideas that was created here, which most of the time pulls out most of those people back. When you let go of everything, attachment to people, family, and all that, then you start breaking down all the karma that you have to deal with. And then you can actually leave the lower realm and go past the astral plane because the realm after that just gets better. I promise you. Your body's no longer looking the same. Every time you take a step forward spiritually, your body changes. Well, the body that soul uses, all the way up until the soul plane. When you're pure soul, you are soul. You don't use a body to travel around in because you're traveling in your soul body. But, and this is beyond their teachings, you can let go of the soul body. And then you become closer to the idea of being that one consciousness. You are in your own reality. And God allows that. God allows that. Because you don't take a step past the astral plane until God allows it. God created little gods. And they're on the astral plane, mental plane, etheric plane, all the way up until the soul plane. And there's a God on the soul plane as well. Only when you raise your vibration. Oh, I raised my vibration. No, you're not. No, you didn't. You're still here. You raise your vibration. You can't be here. God's vibration would blow the whole lower worlds apart if it came down into it. People don't have a clue. They don't want the truth. They don't want to know what's really going on. They want to know if they feel good, it's okay. All right. The workshop I'm going to do will expose love, death, birth, reincarnation, all those words in detail. I'm not going to make believe that they're not real or that it doesn't matter. They all matter. What you do here, what you learn here has nothing to do about becoming spiritual. Here, I said here, when you leave your body, and not to remote view somebody's house, to the astral plane and meet with angels and deities and different things, you can grow immensely. But as long as you're focused on here, or meeting your loved ones that died and passed over, good luck. Your souls most of the souls that pass over come back. Usually within 10 years. So if your mother died 25 years ago, obviously she's probably not on the astral plane. She reincarnated already. All right. If they stay there, they have a mission. They got work to do. The same as we have to learn things here, they got to learn things there. It's always like a school, a step up into the next grade, whether you want to do that or not. And nobody goes from kindergarten to college. Nobody. Receiving Greer is going into, we'll save people, we'll do these things. And then you got Deepak Chopra going on about, now he's doing this whole meditation thing and go into meditation and tell yourself what? That you're big, bad, super strong, or whatever you want to tell yourself? That you're beyond, and no, you're still in this body. The body is limited. And outside your body, you don't have that much power. You have the ability to see, but you don't have the ability to grab, change, touch, and bring back. If they could, people bring back things from the astral plane. I mean, in the Akashic records, they'd be pulling stuff out of there, and everything would be here right now. And the only thing we got here is junk. All right, people. You know, a new invention comes out, what, every hour? Whether it becomes famous or not, it's a different story. But when it does it help mankind? Mankind only wants to do nothing. It wants whatever is created to do everything for them, even drive a car. And when you're little, you spend years desiring to drive a car. Would you want a robot to drive your car around? I mean, you get a toy, you want to drive it around. You don't want it to drive itself around. I mean, people lost the idea of being self. They're pulling themselves into the idea of a consciousness. We're all one. We all think the same. We all want the same. No, we don't. Nobody wants the same thing. Nobody even knows what the same thing is. Aliens are 10 times worse. People, whatever these UFO people speak, I'm challenging everybody in the UFO world. There's not one person out there, really. A lot of the important people in the UFO world were killed, seriously, disappeared. One is in jail, a good friend of mine. The other one's in a nut house in Long Island. And the rest disappeared if they weren't killed. My good friend, since I knew when I was 11, his whole family was removed within 3 days. Okay, stop it. Stop. You stupid. My phone's a pain. Can't shut it off. So where are we going to go from here, people? It's about looking at who you are, what you want out of life, what you should want out of life, what you need out of life. What you need out of life is not what you want out of life. A mission in life is usually what the mind's programmed to believe it is. Nobody on this planet is here to save the world. Nobody. Even if you think you are, you can't. All right? Take all the spiritual people that ever existed in history. Half of them were killed. Some of them had a fight being killed, being poisoned, and lived for years after. Only 2 famous ones that I know actually died of a stomach problem in their 80s. But what did they do while they were here? Spiritual people are what? People that do what? Brainwash people? Tell them that we're all good people, we're all good. No, we're not. Are we all loving people? No, we're not. What are we then, people? We're in this body that has its own computerized program, which has been programmed into us. And I'll tell you why. I'm aware of all my lives. Mr. Greer, you can learn what you were in your past life, and I don't even get into that. But when you learn about all your lives, what you went through, what you learned, what you didn't learn, well, I'm kind of lucky. I say lucky for a word. Being aware from Atlantis to now. But here's the thing that I figured out. We average. They say, oh, you could reincarnate 100 times. You can reincarnate 300 times in your first step down onto this planet to the time you leave. All right, and by that, each lifetime, if you average it out, you can figure it out yourself. If you become aware of all your lifetimes, then you can actually figure it out in detail and know how many times you reincarnated and how many. But it's over 100, at least, usually 200 or 300, because you have to figure in, if you lived 80 years in a lifetime and you reincarnated, you're going to be on the astral plane between 5 and 10 years. So you have to add that number to every number that you lived. All right. And what if you died at 12? You can deduct the number. I mean, you could play that game, average them all out. You could live a long time reincarnating over and over and over. All right. Before you become aware. And I'm talking since humans were here. I'm not talking about going into bacteria and other things. Oh, I was a turtle. I mean, all those kind of things. No, you didn't have to be, and you don't have to be, and you probably never were. All right. There's a difference between human consciousness and animal consciousness. And I'm still talking about the brain within that entity or creature. Aliens have no feelings and emotions like we do, even close. So they don't understand what we do, what love's about, or any of those words. So when they take a person, bring them up on a ship and play with their bodies and stuff like that, do you think they care? When they eat us, do you think they care? Oh, well, Mr. Greer doesn't know half of the truth. He doesn't know what the government's been doing for over 50, since the 50s. I was friends with somebody from MJ12. I got inside information that nobody on the planet had at that time. Oh, Russian ships, German ships. No, Germany wasn't ahead of us that way. Russia wasn't either. China wasn't nowhere near us. And oh, the ships over the White House in 1952. No, they weren't German ships. They weren't Russian ships. So the problem is the government doesn't want the human race to know what they did. And when you can't beat something, what do? You join them. That's probably the safest thing you could do. If a gang's in your neighborhood and they say, join us, and you say no, you can fight them until you die, or you can join them. You got a choice. So the human race, meaning the United States, realized they could not beat alien races. No technology we had could overpower what they had. So Mr. Truman made deals with them, and that's a real fact. Eisenhower became president after him, and he was in the middle of this position, but he wasn't really into it at the time. Laura Eisenhower's out there telling all these great stories, delusional stories about being on Mars with the president and all those kind of things. You know, all these people coming out with stories. And they say, I consider myself crazy going sane. I look at them as sane going crazy. And that's my belief, people. You don't have to like it. Yeah, I am. But here's the thing, people. Nobody really talks about a real God. Nobody talks about the higher worlds of God either. Jesus was the only one that did. All the deities and angels and everybody else did not talk about those realms. First off, all the angels were thrown out of the higher worlds. They didn't want to talk about that no more. Lucifer was an angel of light. He wasn't the bad creature being what people put on him. Satan is not Lucifer. Lucifer didn't give birth to Satan. Man's viewpoint, he did. You can listen to the story about the Anunnaki and all that stories. But they're stories, people. You want to believe that? Go right ahead. You don't need to listen to me. Go out and play in your dream world and fantasize how great the world's going to be. Stephen Greer is going to get us to talk to aliens, and aliens are going to tell us we're great. Great what? Watch the movie V. That's as far as Mr. Greer's story is going to take us. Watch the movie that was a series on TV called V. Really, watch it. It's probably one of the most important UFO movies ever made. But the most important one to me was The Day the Earth Stood Still. The first one, not the second one. Even that, they destroyed it when they made the second one. All right? They took the greatest robot ever and destroyed it. I mean, they took the greatest story and kind of twisted it to the max. So mankind likes to screw everything. Real or not, stories or not. They fantasize, exaggerate, and change it to make it fit with whatever their ego is. And ego plays a big part of 90% of the problems on the planet. But ego grows with money, and power grows with money. So where are we going? Nowhere good. Now, when another person that had been watching the movies, watching what she's saying, Carol Corey, check it out. Watch a movie. Why would I want to promote a movie? Because I want you to see what she believes in. You might accept it, and that's your choice. People rather take rather walk with Satan than go into a higher world and try to meet a higher angel or a higher deity, like Jehovah or somebody like that, beyond that. All right? No, they'd rather hold hands with Satan. He'll give me more things here. Everything you get is to keep you here. Sports and entertainment, all those things just make you want what's going on here. Doesn't make you desire moving into the spiritual worlds. It doesn't help you with that at all. And there are spiritual worlds, and they're incredible. Why I'm here? I'm not going to be here for a long time. So I want to get my last book out, and I want to finish doing this one workshop, which will be the key for anybody to take the giant step into becoming self-realized. And then becoming self-realization is the most important step you take, and then you become God-realized, which is the next important step. All right, I've been on this doing this show for over a couple years now. I was on with TJ Morris doing shows with her for 8 years. And all I hear is she goes to me, well, you keep saying the same thing. I said, well, the same thing is important. All the other stuff coming in is useless. All the UFO people and all these stories that you hear coming into this reality now do not help mankind move forward at any level spiritually. It's amazing how people get bored when they hear the truth. Oh, well, who cares? Blah, blah, blah. People are not ready for truth. I'm not going to stay here to teach people that don't want to hear it. And for people that think Jesus would come back, why? They didn't listen to Jesus the first time. Why would anybody assume that he'd come back when you wouldn't listen the second time? They twisted everything about him to make it be good to them. They created a hell because they said only bad people go there, and I'm not a bad person. No, everybody goes to where soul goes when it dies. Some stay here, never even get to do that. But most everybody goes to the astral plane for a short period of time and then gets to come back here and start all over. Oh, now children are starting to remember their last life, which is the first step to work off all your karma. If you know everything you did in your past life, you'll know what you're going to be dealing with in this life. And you'll be able to face it with a greater understanding about it. Not like, why did I lose my leg? Why did I lose my son? Why did I lose my wife? Why did I get... All those things will be answered and understandable. Not that you like it. Truth is not a pleasurable thing. It's not going to bring you happiness. Happiness is a man-made word based on the feelings and emotions of the 5 senses of the body, which is connected to the brain, which is only connected to the brain. It's not connected to soul. When soul leaves the body, even if it's for 5 seconds, the mind is in control of those 5 senses, not soul. When soul's in the body, it's not in control of the body either. That's the first thing soul needs to learn. And it's the first thing you need to learn as soul. Separation of soul and mind. Mind is only a sick program given to us when Atlantis was destroyed. So that's over between 30 and 35,000 years ago. Then you want to believe the Anunnaki story that they made us? Really? There's only 4 races here now. And their colors, different colors. All right? There were 9 races here in Atlantis. 5 left. The colored races left: purple, blue, green. The colored races left. All right? Now, we got the red, white, black, and yellow. All right? And we're just people. But we came from different places, people. We didn't come out of one seed. Again, mankind's twisted thinking. Mr. Greer, prove it. Prove I'm wrong. Prove that we all came from wherever you think we came from. Or that we're working together. We all think the same. We're all part of the same thing. No, we're not. And what'll keep us from ever growing together is the idea that nobody wants to understand a real God. They'd rather make up their own God. When you create your own God, you create your own rules. When you play God, you do anything you want. And that's where we're going. Aliens can do what they want. They don't believe in a real God. People, do you want to follow these people out there speaking? Shamans, medicine people, preachers, rabbis, the Pope, the Dalai Lama, all those kind of people. They're given power, but do they deserve it? Of course not. They don't understand anything more than you do. They don't know what God is. They don't know what heaven is. They don't know what death is. All right? I mean, Catholics wanted everybody to have multiple children. They wanted everybody to have 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 children. They wanted everyb That was kind of like their main thing. Everybody has to have children, not lots of children, to keep the Catholic religion growing. The Chinese didn't want girls. They only wanted men, and they were letting them kill children. But suddenly, China wants to grow its population. Now they're allowed to keep 2 daughters or 3 daughters, which they were never allowed. Yeah, you could pay big bucks or kill them or get rid of them. And that's what they did. We have a sick world, people. Just because you don't know what they do, or even in religions, how sick they are. You find your way back to God by yourself. Nobody can really help you do that. I mean, when people come out and say, well, you got to do that yourself. Well, that's the only thing Stephen Greer said that was right. You're not going to find God by listening to him. You're not going to find spiritual truth by listening to anybody, including me. If I tell you, it's not going to help you until you find it, until you find your way to get to that. And then what are you talking to? What are you dealing with? All those things. I'm telling you, the most important people right now for most people on this planet is their angels or guides. Nobody else. Not physical beings, because they can't take them or you to the place where you need to be. Now, on the other hand, we got this horrible world crumbling down, doing all these horrible things because man allowed it to happen, fires and things like that. Here's technology. We're worrying about going to Mars. We're not worried about putting out a fire. You would think in 100 years, we'd be able to put out a fire right away before it spreads. And we can't do that. Nobody wants to worry about that. I know when I was in school, they were trying to make fireproof suits for the firemen and things like that. How far did they go with that? I was fire dancing, and asbestos was the only thing that was fireproof when I was young. I touched it a lot. I was on it a lot. I played with asbestos because I had to put asbestos over pipes and things like that when I was a plumber. But it was the only thing that was really fireproof. But it was toxic. So you'd think in all that time frame, they could have came out with many things much more fireproof, which they're trying. They got this gel. When I was in school, I saw it. They pour it over somebody and it'd be fireproof for a while. So, when you watch movies and you see the guys set themselves on fire, they're in a fire suit. Technology is growing, but so slowly compared to what we're doing to the planet. The fires that are burning right now, today, is already destroying the ozone layer for the weather for the next year. Do you understand that, people? And Mr. Turkey, Musk, Trump, and Gates have no clue what's really going on. Their ego, they're thinking of who they are is important to them. They feel that they can make things right. To who's right? What's right? We all should be riding horses, not cars. 1,000 times more natural, safer. Sure, people fell off a horse and things like that. But look at car accidents and things. Losing your legs, your arms, and all these other things dying. It's a lot worse. So people, when we move forward, every time we take a giant step forward in science, we take a giant step back in life. The earth, the dirt itself, I was just talking to a person today about it. When I was little, when I was 10, 8, around that age, if you got a cut, we would put dirt on it and it would heal it right away. Take mud and slap it on there and it would heal it. The earth had bacteria living in it. Ever since they started spraying chemtrails, it killed all the bacteria in the earth. The earth has no actual benefits anymore. So when plants growing in it, 50, 60 years ago, they had lots of vitamins and minerals. It's cut down by about 80% now. Seriously. We are destroying everything. The water is pretty much toxic everywhere. The air is pretty much toxic. Keep spraying it with chemtrails. And you don't want to know what's in the chemtrails. You don't want to know about anything. Last thing I'll get into. The vaccine. What do you think about the vaccine, people? Let me just flip this one thing real fast, see what's going on here. I don't see anybody desiring. Oh, who's this? Oh, okay. All right. So here's the thing, people. We don't have much time to change what we're doing and creating. And if man thinks aliens are going to help us, we're in a serious spot. Becoming aware of soul is the most incredible experience anybody could have, desire, or need. And when you do, everything else is secondary. All right. The techniques are simple. It's not meditation. People put meditation down. Plain meditation is useless. Becoming one with nothingness is impossible. And then when you think you do, it's still nothing. Unless you create and open a doorway to step out of this reality, you're not going to. And then you need to become aware of what you work with. What angels, what deities, what are around you that you can work with. Personally, I work with 3 different deities. 3 of my guides on the inner worlds. And they have taught me and brought me and showed me so many things that you cannot learn and you will not learn here. You're not going to learn how to travel in the airplane here. You drive around in a car and a plane, you're not going to learn how to travel around in your spirit body. Forward. So how far are you willing to go? Are you ready for the truth, or you want to just listen to these storytellers making money off of you, telling you the good aliens are going to play with us and work with us? To do what? What do you need somebody to help you do with right now? Realize that you're you and become your super higher self? Well, now I'm my higher self. Or God realize you know anything about God? No. So you're not going to become that. Self-realize? You realize what you are pertaining to God? No. All you want to know is that we're part of a consciousness and we could see and do things and stop things. You're playing in the matrix, planet Earth and the astral plane and the universe. You get nowhere. It goes on for infinity in this reality, but to do what? Mars, the moon, what beneficial things could we get from there? Nothing. And all the money being spent. Now, to show you the deterioration and what money and power does, and I'm going to call him a name, Mr. Bosco, spending $5.5 trillion to go into space, what, 10 minutes? Is mankind that perverted, twisted, egotistical to think about a cheap thrill is more important than saving billions of lives? I'm saying billions, not millions. All right. We don't realize that, and we don't care. But here's the other thing, people. Money's fake at every level. And China's going to make it even worse for the world to think that the United States is poor and everything else. They're buying all the gold, trying to eliminate other people using it in every aspect. And they want to bankrupt the United States. But they want to take over the United States. They want to take over the world. I watched a special on TV. And they were showing that China's going to take the waterways away from the Philippine Islands. And they won't even be able to get food. And then they're going to take over the whole country. Their plans are evil, people. Their idea with the virus, which we gave them years ago, has been mutated. And not for the better. And the mutations are coming out. I'll repeat this again. I will not put the link up. You got to find it yourself. It's a government file classifying all the viruses that vaccines they will give out in the next 2 years. They're all listed already of the so-called viruses that we're going to be fighting. It's all planned out, people, and it's called UN Agenda 21-30. You need to pull out all the facts on it. The written facts, the one that are telling the stories about it, you got to listen to it all. It's real. And it's not like it's going to go away. 193 countries agreed on it already. Oh, there's some, it doesn't matter what the some want. It's like when you vote, the majority wins, period. In this reality, the majority always wins. And obviously, the majority is the program majority, where the ones that are free thinkers or real thinkers are never accepted. So people, I had to do this because I listened to the couple videos this morning. Just makes me sick listening to people tell us stupid things, making us think we need to be superpowered, super beings. To do what? Well, okay, thank you. See you later. Okay, people. It was, let me just finish. I said her name, Caroline Corey. Watch her movie, Among Us. And she's really making it look good. Gizzy, stop. For aliens to be taking over our bodies and us becoming part of them. All right, it's a pretty pathetic world right now. I hope you start looking for the truth within it, because it is there if you work hard enough. All right, people. Peace, love, compassion, whatever you want in your life. Hope you get it, but don't stop looking. Don't accept the lies. Always look beyond it, because there's truth somewhere, and there's always a little bit of truth in all the lies. Till next time.